A Spanish conquistador climbed a mountain in 1545 and found enough silver to buy every city in Europe, twice. The Cerro Rico, that's the name, a peak in what's now Bolivia rising 15,825 feet above sea level. In April 1545, an indigenous man named Diego Hualpa was herding llamas near its base when he noticed something unusual. The ground had been scorched by a grass fire. When he bent to gather firewood, his hand struck silver. Not a vein, not a promising deposit, a mountain. 90% of the world's silver would flow from this one location over the next 2 centuries. Let's rewind. By 1545, Spain had already conquered the Aztec and Inca empires, but conquest and wealth aren't the same thing. Spain needed money, real, tangible, transferable wealth. Gold was sparse in the Americas. Silver was the currency of global trade. Whoever controlled silver controlled commerce itself. The Spanish crown immediately claimed the mountain. By 1548, the first major mining operation had begun. Within a decade, Potosí, the city that grew around the mountain, had become the largest city in the Americas. Larger than London, larger than Seville. 40,000 people arrived to extract silver. By 1650, the population reached 160,000. It was the second largest city on Earth, behind only Beijing. But this wasn't a city built on hope. It was built on coercion. The Spanish implemented the encomienda system, a labor arrangement that was slavery in everything but name. Indigenous workers and later enslaved Africans were forced into the mines. The mortality rate was catastrophic. Historians estimate that between 1545 and 1800, the mountain killed approximately 8 million people. The silver didn't stay in the Americas. Spanish galleons carried it across the Atlantic in quantities that had no precedent. Between 1545 and 1800, roughly 16,000 tons of silver left Potosí. That's not metaphorical wealth. That's physical metal, packed into ships crossing oceans, enough to fundamentally alter global economics. Here's where the story becomes strange. That silver didn't stop in Europe. Most of it flowed eastward to Asia. By the 1600s, European merchants had discovered that Asian goods, silk, spices, porcelain were in ferocious demand back home. But Asia didn't want European goods in return. They wanted silver. Potosí's mountain became the engine that balanced global trade. China's economy, in particular, became dependent on Potosí silver. The Ming and Qing dynasties had adopted silver as their primary currency. Their tax system ran on it. Their economy expanded around it. When silver arrived from the Americas, Chinese prices rose. When supply tightened, deflation followed. A mountain in Bolivia was now dictating monetary policy in Beijing. The influx of silver triggered what historians call the price revolution. Between 1500 and 1700, prices across Europe and Asia rose dramatically. Some estimates suggest they tripled or quadrupled. Wages didn't keep pace. The purchasing power of ordinary people collapsed. Landowners and merchants accumulated wealth. Workers fell into poverty. One mountain reshaped the class structure of the world. The social instability was immediate. In Europe, the 1600s saw food riots, wage strikes, and mass migration. Governments struggled to manage inflation that they didn't understand. Some blamed speculators. Some blamed foreigners. The real cause, a mountain in the Andes, remained invisible to most people living through it. Spain itself became a cautionary tale. The influx of silver should have made Spain the wealthiest, most powerful nation on Earth. For a while, it did. But Spain spent the money on wars, on maintaining a global empire, on consumption. They didn't invest it. They didn't build manufacturing. The silver flowed through their hands like water. By the 1700s, other nations, Britain, France, the Dutch, had surpassed Spain economically and militarily. Spain had the silver, but not the infrastructure to translate it into lasting power. The mountain had made them rich, but richness and power aren't the same. The Potosí mines continued operating into the 20th century. The mountain didn't run dry. It was just no longer the center of global commerce. By then, silver had become a commodity like any other. The Cerro Rico, stripped of its mystique, was simply a mine. The legacy persists in ways we rarely acknowledge. The global financial system that emerged in the 16th century, interconnected, silver-based, driven by trade, is a direct ancestor of the modern economy. Potosí didn't just finance an empire. It established the template for how capital moves across borders, how currencies fluctuate, how wealth concentrates and disperses. The social cost, 8 million lives, remains largely forgotten in standard histories of globalization. We celebrate the discovery of the New World. We marvel at Spanish engineering, but we rarely sit with the arithmetic of extraction. The mountain required human sacrifice on a scale that's difficult to comprehend, and it fundamentally altered the distribution of wealth and power across the planet. Today, the Cerro Rico still dominates the landscape around Potosí. It's visibly smaller than it was in 1545. Over 450 years of mining have carved away a visible portion of the peak. The city around it has declined. It's no longer the second largest city on Earth. It's a regional hub, economically marginal, historically significant, but materially impoverished. The irony is precise. A mountain of silver made Potosí the center of the world. When the silver ran out, or rather when it was no longer the center of global commerce, the city was left with nothing. No manufacturing base, no diversified economy, just the memory of wealth extracted from the ground and sent elsewhere. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe to this channel for weekly deep dives into the hidden economic histories that shaped how we live today. There's a new story every week, and each one rewrites how you understand money, power, and the systems we take for granted. Subscribe to this channel for weekly deep dives into the hidden economic histories that shaped how we live today. There's a new story every week. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.